check on it and see. Okay, mighty companions, welcome to A Course in Miracles. Thanks for showing up today. We had a big old gathering last Sunday for my birthday that I really appreciated. And I'm still feeling really good about all the connections that we have and the connections and the blessings that we have. Those of you watching on Facebook Live, I want to welcome you to A Course in Miracles Live. I'm Earl Purdy, and I always have to take a minute to get my mind right to get ready to hear some sanity. You know, because in the world, when I see what's going on in the world and listen to things in the world, it kind of takes me away from my sane mind for a minute. So every time we get a chance to come together, it gives me an opportunity to focus on my sane mind.
Amen.
With you all.
Amen.
And I'm glad to do that. We're going to be on setting the goal today. Setting the goal in the Course in Miracles text, Foundation for Inner Peace version. It's chapter 17, section 6, and it's called Setting the Goal.
Page 365.
Page 365. This is the course. This is a really great section because you can use it in terms of thinking of any goal that you have and any purpose that you have, but it's especially good when it's the goal of having sanity, sense, and healing yourself. And let me get up the my friends here online. I'm so glad that you all are here too. I want to be able to see your comments. So this is a high-tech operation here. So, okay, let's get this here. That's right. That's what I'm talking about. So I want you to think about this right quick. You don't have to believe the ideas. You don't have to believe the ideas. You don't have to accept the ideas. You don't have to accept the ideas. You don't have to welcome the ideas from the Course in Miracles. Some of the ideas are going to be hard to believe. Some of the ideas are going to be quite startling. You are not being asked to analyze the ideas at all. It's the use of the ideas that will give the ideas meaning to you and will show you that the ideas are true. Because if you think you have to believe it, if you feel like somebody's trying to convert you, then sometimes it's hard to let yourself listen to it. So I'm going to go through the entire paragraph and come back and hit on the main point. And I want to try to see if I can get as much of this done as possible. As a matter of fact, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So we're talking about setting the goal. And so it starts out by talking about the practical application of the Holy Spirit's purpose is extremely simple. The practical application of love's purpose is extremely simple, but it's unequivocal. The practical application of God's purpose, love's purpose, which is peace, which is love, the Course says is extremely simple. The practical application of the truth is extremely simple. The practical application of a lie is extremely difficult and complicated. The practical application of the truth is extremely simple, but it's unequivocal. In fact, it says in order to be simple, it must be unequivocal in order to be simple. So what is the simple? Like it says, the practical application of the truth, which is the Holy Spirit's purpose, it says it's very simple. And so it says what's simple is something that's, well, if it's going to be simple, he says, it must be easily understood. So if I'm going to give you a simple application, the Course says it must be easily understood, and for it to be easily understood, it's apparent it has to be clear. So I'm going to go back, because I'm a divine repetition teacher. I'm a divine remembering teacher. The Course in Miracles works best in your life if you just remember what it's saying and apply it than if you sit around trying to analyze what you think it means. So what did we just hear? That the Holy Spirit's purpose, our higher self's purpose, the actual application of it in a practical way is, it didn't say just regular simple. What did it say? Extremely simple.
Extremely.
Then it says it must be simple. And to be simple, it's got to be easily understood. And if it's going, the truth is going to be easily understood, it's got to be, he says, clear. And then he goes on to say, the setting of the Holy Spirit's goal, the setting of truth, which is forgiveness, which is peace. The setting of the goal is simple. But your higher self, the Holy Spirit, will work with you to make it specific for application is specific. The Course in Miracles, those of you online especially, I want you to hear this too. The Course in Miracles is not a regular self-help book.
Right.
And I think that's one of the mistakes that people make with the Course in Miracles, or most wisdom texts actually. We're so used to being taught that as an adult you should be handling everything by yourself. So we're totally oriented to it. I'm going to get this information so I can handle everything better myself. And the Course in Miracles is a book on how to get you out of the way so that your higher self can do the healing and be in charge of your life and everything that's going on in it. So, and then it defines that as love and happiness. So the Course is saying there's a part of us that loves us, that knows the truth, that's connected to Source, that knows everything, that can guide us and direct us and heal our perception and allow us to have joy. Then it's going to tell us how that works. He says the setting of the Holy Spirit's goal is general. So that's the same as saying the setting of the goal of love and truth is general. Most people say, I want to love everybody. Most people go, I really would love to be able to love everybody. Mm-hmm. The Course in Miracles, I'd like to be able to apply this to everything. The Course in Miracles says, well, now your inner teacher will work with you to make the goals, which is your peace, your happiness, and your forgiveness specific, for application is specific. So if I want to get to the point that I'm applying what the truth is taking to, if I want to get to the point that I'm applying what the truth is teaching, the Course in Miracles says you must give it specific application. So unless we specifically apply the truth, then we're never going to learn how to actually experience it. So that means, he says, there are certain very specific guidelines the Holy Spirit, which is love, which is truth, provides for any situation. So there are very specific guidelines for any situation that you want to have peace and love in. And the Course says, but what is it? Very specific guidelines. I think that's another interesting statement. Very specific guidelines. He says there are very specific guidelines the Holy Spirit provides for any situation, but remember, if you see that word remember, it means don't forget. Okay. And you will never see a sentence in this book that says analyze. There's not a sentence in this book that ever starts out, figure this out and analyze. Every guide in this book says remember. And then it says remember what? You don't yet realize their universal application. I don't know how to apply the truth yet in every situation. I don't know how to look at every situation with love yet. I don't know how to look at every situation with peace yet. So the Course says that there are certain very specific guidelines that the Holy Spirit is going to provide for any situation. So there are guidelines that love provides for any situation. He says, but remember, you don't realize their universal application. I don't know how to apply the truth in every situation. Therefore, it's essential at this point to use the very specific guidelines in each situation separately until you can more safely look beyond each situation and an understanding far broader than you now possess. So what did that just say? There are very specific guidelines in any situation. We don't know how to apply the truth to every situation. So that means we need to apply the truth to each situation in our life separately until we get to the point that we see how we can apply that truth in every situation in our life. So start with the specific and work out to the general. Don't try to start with, I'm going to love everybody. Start out with, I'm going to try to love one person. I'm going to specifically apply the truth, for instance, to one person. Or right now, I'm having a challenging experience at work. Okay, I'm going to see if I can apply the truth specifically to that situation at work. I'm having a challenge in my relationship. Okay, let me see if I can apply the principles and the guidelines of love and truth in the Course in that relationship. We can't separate the truth from our personal life. That's what many people do. They go to church on Sunday, and then as soon as they walk out of the church, they'll go right back to thinking the way that they were thinking before they were in church, because they neatly separate the two things. So what did that first paragraph tell us? It told us, first of all, it told us that the practical application of the truth is really simple. That is really, and so it means it's got to be easily understood. And then it told us that we're going to be guided. It says we will be given very specific guidelines, and that our higher self, God's Spirit, will work with us to make it specific. And that's what I meant when I said earlier that the Course in Miracles isn't a regular self-help book, in the sense that it's trying to put you in charge. It's really trying to put your greater self, your divine self, God, if you will, in charge. How do I let love operate in my life? How do I follow the guidelines of love? So then it told us what? Well, I'm going to teach you how to use the truth in very specific situations until you get to the point you can use it in every situation, because you have an understanding much broader than the understanding you have right now. So what would be our goal? Our goal would be to remember that, not to analyze that. What do you mean? The truth is simple. I got some help. There are very specific guidelines. I need to learn how to use it in specific situations. And when I get used to using it in every situation, I'll get to the point I'll apply the truth to every situation that I go through. Anybody don't get what that just said? Mm-hmm. Okay, everybody got what that said? Okay. So I want you to think of a situation in your life that you have some doubt in, that you have any kind of uncertainty, any kind of fear. Some situation that when you think about it, it doesn't make you immediately feel peace. Do you have one?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, everybody's got one. Okay. I know it might be difficult to come up with one, but do you have one? Okay, all right. It's okay. We all know each other. We can talk. Okay. Okay. It says, what do you do? Well, in a situation in which you're uncertain, the first thing to consider, did it say the first thing? It says the first thing to consider in this situation that you're thinking about is, what do I want to come of this? What is it for? So I'm in a situation right now. I'm kind of unsure of what I want to do. What do I want to come of this? What is it for? What do I want to come of this? What is it for? I'm in a relationship. What do I want to come of this? What is this relationship for? I want a new job. What do you want to come of it? What is it for? I want to change my mind and love myself more. What do you want to come out of you? What are you for? So the first thing to consider in any situation that you have any kind of doubt is what?
What is it for?
What do I want to come of it? What am I in this? What am I doing this for? Okay, then it says the clarification of the goal belongs at the beginning, for it is this which will determine the outcome. So what will determine the outcome? What do I want to come of it? My goal determines the outcome. My goal determines the outcome. The goal determines the outcome. I'm in a relationship. What do I want to come out of it? I want peace and harmony to come out of this relationship. I want growth to come out of this relationship. I want peace. I want harmony. I want connection. I want union. I want freedom. I want awakening. See, I got a whole list of things that I want to come out of the relationship. But that's the very first thing you should be asking yourself is, what am I doing this for? What do I want to come out of it? It says, because it says it right here. The goal determines the outcome. The goal determines how it's going to turn out. The goal determines how it's going to turn out. The goal determines how it's going to turn out. The goal determines how it's going to turn out. So it says, in the ego's procedure, which the Course defines as wrong-mindedness, okay, in the procedure of a wrong mind, he says, in the ego's procedure, this is reversed. What does that mean? The situation becomes the determiner of the outcome. What does that mean? The outcome could be anything. The Course says the reason for this disorganized approach, what is the disorganized approach? Just having no goal and then letting the situation determine what's happening, right? So the Course says the ego does not know what it wants to come of the situation. The ego is aware of what it does not want, and only that. It has no positive goal at all. So the Course in Miracles says if you are in your ego, you will be in a relationship and you don't know what you want to come out of it. If you're in your ego, you'll be in a situation and you can't answer that question, what do I want to come out of this? What is it for? The Course says when you're listening to your wrong mind, all you know is what you don't want. I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't want this. I don't want that. So the Course in Miracles is saying, when you're in your wrong mind, all you can say is what you don't like and what you don't want.
Right.
I say I want to take you out to dinner. You tell me you don't want to go to McDonald's. He says that's not the same as having a positive goal.
Right.
That's not the same. That's not the same thing as saying I want to go to Friday's restaurant. You see what I'm saying? Okay. I'm gonna open it up in just a second. I'm gonna as soon as I finish this paragraph. Okay. So the Course is saying that the goal determines the outcome, and that your ego is the part of you that's only aware of what it doesn't like and what it doesn't want. It doesn't have a positive goal at all. So the ego is the part of me that goes, I don't like that. I just know what I don't like, and I just know what I don't want.
Right.
Okay, another thing I want to add, especially from a Course in Miracles perspective, is that the purpose of the Course in Miracles is to help you attain peace of mind. The Course in Miracles is not a book on how to manifest a house, a car, a job, a lover, a roommate, or any of that. It's not a book that's teaching us how to have more things in the world. It's a book on teaching us how to look at things so that we will have peace of mind, and then out of that peace of mind be able to hear our own inner guidance that's coming from the truth and spirit. I'll say that again. The Course in Miracles is not a book on how to have anything in the world. It's a book on how to never lose your peace no matter what's happening in the world, so that you can get your inner guidance and allow spirit to work through you.
Thank God.
The Course in Miracles is teaching you how a mind that doesn't know the truth operates, and it's teaching you how a mind that does know the truth operates. It's teaching you how to tell the difference between when you're listening to the wrong voice and when you're listening to the right voice. It's a book on teaching you the difference between what's true and what's false. And then it says that once you know the difference between love and fear, what's true and what's false, what's your real voice talking to you and when it's the voice you're making up talking to you, says the minute you know the difference between the two, you would choose the one that makes sense. He says, but we don't know the difference between when we're listening to wrong advice from ourselves and right advice from ourselves. It's as if we knew we would have more peace and love and harmony. That's how you know you don't know. Okay? So it's saying right here, notice it said, the Holy Spirit is going to tell you to tell yourself, what do I want to come out of this? What is it for? Then it turns around and says, your ego is going to be a part of you that says, I don't know what I want to come out of the situation. I'm just aware of what I don't want. See, now when I say that to myself, I go, oh, okay, that's my ego talking right now. I used to wonder, is that the ego or is that Holy Spirit? Now I know it's the ego. It's my ego that doesn't know what it wants to come out. And then the Course says, in case you don't think you know, I'll tell you what you want to come out of every situation. You want peace and love to come out of every situation. Because don't forget, the Course in Miracles is interested in the physical thing because it teaches that the physical thing is neutral. It's neither good nor bad. A house is neither good nor bad. A car is neither good nor bad. Working for a business is neither good nor bad. It's neutral. You're either going to give yourself joy through it or you're going to give yourself pain through it, is what the Course is saying. So the Course is more interested in our perception. It's about how do I keep from going crazy, losing my mind, and killing a few folk, and staying peaceful. You follow what I'm saying? The Course is saying, how do I learn how to look at things in such a way that I'm not afraid and suspicious?
Yeah.
How can I learn how to look at things in such a way I see it with love and peace? The Course is saying, how can I tell when it's my real loving self talking to me and giving me advice, and when it's the part of me that doesn't really love me that much and believes that I want to suffer? How can I tell the difference between the two? Well, just in the first two paragraphs, it said that. First of all, it said, if it's coming from love, if it's coming from the Holy Spirit, the practical application of the thing is going to be simple. And it's going to be clear. And you're going to get guidelines. And the first thing you want to do is ask, what is it for? What do I want to come out of it? See, that's very specific instructions saying what your right mind would say. And then it turns around and says, now your wrong mind is going to say, I don't know what I want to come out of this situation. I'm just aware of what I don't want. I don't really have a positive goal. So now I know I'm listening to what? My ego, the part of me that doesn't know the truth. So that's what it means when it says the Course is not really complicated. It's only as complicated as a person needs it to be for them to understand it. Some people can't understand simple concepts. It drives them crazy. Some people, unless it sounds really, really complicated, they don't really grasp it, even aren't even really interested. So the first thing you want to ask yourself, what is this for? I am uncertain and in doubt. So I should ask myself, okay, I'm having an argument with my mom, for instance, because you can apply the truth to anything. And then you go, what do I want to come out of this? What is this for? You say, stop and ask that. They call it pausing for inspiration. You'd be amazed at how just pausing long enough to ask yourself that question could be just the pause you need, not to say or do something really dumb that you'll regret later on.
Yes.
Okay? All right.
Sure, I was noticing here in 4:3, it is quite noticeable that this approach has brought you closer to the Holy Spirit, sorting out the truth and falsity. So we just came from a discourse about the two Christs and Krishna. So it's like the parable from Jesus or Holy Spirit or Christ consciousness is like a little child going to the Christmas table. And there's watermelon on one side, and the other side there's sugar plums and macaroons and pomegranate, right? And the little child thinking that that's going to bring fertility, right? Instead of relying on the teachings of Christ. What is false and what is true.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Right. So it's like the hypnotic, or selling the watermelon, for example, or selling the macaroon. Like neither will bring you to fertility.
And that's what the Course is saying, that what we think will make us happy is not the thing that will make us happy. What's going to make us happy is having a correct perception of everything that's happening. And they're saying there are but two perceptions. One perception is based on love and peace, another perception that's based on fear and conflict, or one perception based on oneness and one perception based on separation. There's a world I'm going to see if I see you as one with me, and there's a way that I'm going to treat you if I'm in peace and see you as one with me. There's another way I'm going to treat you if I think I'm separate from you and I'm afraid of you. There's going to be another way I treat you. Same people, but the way I treat you is determined by the way I'm seeing things. And the first thing I need to ask myself is, what do I want to come out of this relationship with you, for instance, and what is it for? The Course is very practical. When I come in here to teach my class, what do I want to come out of it? What is it for? When you come to the class, you should be asking yourself, what do I want to come out of this? What is it for? You had a very specific reason that inspired you to come today. That's what's going to determine the outcome of this class, is going to be the goal that you set when you came in here. The goal is either I'm going to walk away feeling more conflict, or I'm going to walk away feeling more peace. So the content of like the Course says, that no matter what the situation, the content's the same. Either love or it's fear. That's the only thing that's ever happening. Then in the next paragraph it says, without a clear-cut positive goal set at the outset, what happens? The situation just seems to happen. And it makes no sense until it's already happened. It says, then you look back on the situation that's already happened, and you try to piece together what it must have meant, and you will be wrong. Right. So he's saying, when you look back after something's happened that you didn't have a goal in the first place, and you try to figure out what it meant, he says, you're going to be wrong. And you go, well, why? He says, not only is your judgment in the past, but the truth is you had no idea what should happen. You didn't have any goal. You didn't have any goals set that would bring the means in line. And he says, now since you didn't have no idea what should happen in the first place, he says, now the only judgment left to make is whether or not your ego likes what's happened. Is it acceptable? Or does this call for, I'm going to kick some butt, vengeance, I'm mad. I don't know what should happen in the first place in our relationship, right? So we just had this thing just happen that has me really upset. And I'm going to look back on it, and he says, I'm going to try to figure out what it meant. And he says, you're going to be wrong because you didn't have any goal in the first place about what should have happened. He says that the absence of a criteria for outcome, which is a fancy way of saying without a goal, I love the way the Course says that, without the absence of a criteria for outcome set in advance, in other words, you're not having any freaking idea of what should happen, makes understanding doubtful and evaluation impossible. So I'm not going to be able to accurately evaluate a situation if I didn't have a goal in the first place. If I have a goal to come over here to this church and pay attention to the Course in Miracles and learn the Course in Miracles, and I find myself heading to the mall, then I could safely assume I'm headed in the wrong direction. But if I didn't have a goal in the first place, then I wouldn't know I was headed in the wrong direction. I'd just end up at the mall then decide whether I like being at the mall or should I be upset about being at the mall or not. That's what he said we do. We don't have any real goals. We just end up in the middle of something, and then we decide whether we need to get mad about it or not, or should we punish ourselves or somebody else about it, but we didn't have any idea what should happen in the first place. One of the most interesting things I'll ask couples when I'm working with couples in my clarity sessions is, what do you want to come out of your relationship? What's the purpose of the relationship? Why in the heck are you with each other? What is it for? Do you love each other? Do you care about each other? Do you really want to be together? And then they get more depressed than they were before they came in. You'd be surprised how many people come to counseling just so they can say they went to counseling. It didn't have anything to do with really wanting. But let me break something to all of us, okay? There is no such thing, I'll repeat this again, there is no such thing as two adults who are willing to take responsibility for themselves, who wants peace with each other, that cannot have peace with each other. There is no such thing as two people having a problem they can't work out if both of them really want it worked out. There is no amount of counseling, no amount of books, and no amount of reading is going to work for two people who don't want to be together. And they want to separate from each other. So the first thing I always advise people to do, especially in relationships and they're trying to get something straightened out between them and their partner, is at the very beginning, ask their partner, do you want to join or do you want to separate? Do you really want peace between us right now in this situation, or do you just really just want to separate? And once you all are clear about what you want, now the answers will come. Because it's not, like you said, the practical application of love is simple. It didn't say love was complicated. Fear is complicated. Specialness is very complicated. Because to be special, there's a host of rules you got to act out with the person in order to maintain your specialness. And they got scripts up and down for your butt for what you're going to have to do in order for you to get their love. Specialness is a lot of friggin' work. Trying to be special to somebody is a lot of work because they got a whole list of things you can and cannot do. Love is unconditional. Love is not judging. Love is not trying to get you to be different than how you are. It's no way you love me and you're trying to change me. Especially trying to change me so I can make you happy. Because in most cases, that's what it is when people are trying to change somebody. They're not trying to change a person for their good. It's usually you're not doing something that's pleasing me in some way that I want you to do differently. Let's get real. It's not my overwhelming concern about your joy that's trying to get you to change. It's me wanting to have the script that I've made up because you're supposed to validate to me that I am valuable. That's your job. That's why I picked you. You know that, right?
Right.
You know I singled you out over everybody else. You were the one that most reminded me of the past. You're the one that unconscious is going to give me the experience that I just had with the person I just was with. You're the one that's going to make up for me what no other lover ever gave me. You're going to treat me the way other people have never really treated me. The Court says, we choose relationships to restore our wounded self-esteem. That's why the next one better be better than the last one. You're not going to do to me what the last one did. I'm watching you. Right? So I'm going to look out. If the other one looked like he didn't respect me, then I'm looking at everything you do that looks like it's the slightest bit of disrespect. I'm not dealing with you in terms of who I used to be with and not having that experience again. And another thing, too, while we're talking about this, what do you want to come out of a relationship? What is it for? If you don't love each other, which means you really want to be united and joined, what's the point?
Yep. Yeah.
If I said, do you love your partner, and you go, which is, but of course I do. Well, I don't know. That's a knife in his throat.
Jesus.
Might be a hint. So with the Course in Miracles, what I always like to do is go through the whole paragraph and come back through it, okay? So then it says the value of deciding, notice that the Course went from goal to a criterion for outcome set in advance, and then it starts the next paragraph by saying, the value of deciding in advance what you want to happen. The value of what? Deciding what you want to happen. The value of deciding what you want to happen is simply you will perceive the situation that you're in right now as a means to make what you want to happen. For instance, if I come in the room and I say what I want to come out of this is new friends. That's what I want to come out. I walked in the room, I want to make new friends. Then I'm going to see this situation as an opportunity to make new friends. In other words, whatever my goal is, I'm going to use the situation as a means to make it happen. If I say I want more friends and I come in this room, then this becomes a means for me to make that happen. If I don't love myself, if I feel guilty and sinful and bad, and I was abused and misused, and I feel like I don't deserve love, and I don't deserve to have people who care about me, I'm going to come in the room and act like a butt. I'm going to come in the room and be the nastiest person in the room. In other words, I'm going to make that happen.
Right.
If I don't believe I deserve to be loved, then I'm going to use this group to make that happen. So the Course is saying that that's the value of deciding what you want to happen in every situation, because you know that happens on dates. Both people got agendas, and they're looking for that date to be an opportunity to make that happen. Some people want to experience a lot of love and affection, or let's say some people want to experience sex, or some people want to experience a conversation. Well, that's the person's agenda. They're going to try to use that relationship to what? Make that happen. That's why when someone asks you out, I want to spend time with you, you should say, what for? It'll blow their mind. It'll blow their mind.
I get that question once every 10 years.
Right. But as you wake up, and you start to make the shift from the body to the mind, where the mind becomes, and the consciousness becomes more important to you than the body does. At first it cuts way down in your social life. You know, when I shifted from a body-oriented perception of things to a more mental consciousness, spiritual perception, and I started to like go, what is the mind I'm going out with tonight? What are we going to talk about? What's going to be our focus of conversation and communication? And it wasn't about just trying to get the body or get something related to the body. And it became, you're looking for a real relationship. When you're looking for a real relationship, what you want to come out of the situation is a joining of minds more than you want a joining of bodies. See, everybody pretty much, I know there are exceptions, but everybody pretty much who have male bodies have the same body parts. Did you know that? In different proportions, different colors, different sizes. You know, some of them are better proportions than others.
All perception.
It's all perception. It's all perception. Right? And so to kind of like want people just for their body parts, even though it used to make sense, it doesn't make sense to me now, because that's pretty common. Everybody pretty much got that, just different proportions. But what's going to make people interesting to me now is the mind. What kind of conversation we're going to have? What kind of consciousness is this? You know, what do they really want? And do we want the same thing? Are we gonna be supportive of each other in our conversation? Are we gonna be together all night debating back and forth and arguing? You see what I'm saying? As you wake up spiritually, you're much more interested in whether or not the person is kind, if the person is loving. Does the person take responsibility for their experience? See, as you grow up and as you become spiritually mature, those are the kind of questions you ask yourself. If you're spiritually immature, it's how much money do they make? What part of town do they live in? What kind of car do they drive? Does their body look like, you know, whatever? That's got to be the determinant of whether or not I want them is because of how their body looks. That's not a sin, it's not bad, but it's just dumb. Because you're going to end up with the person's consciousness. How they think, how they treat people, how they feel about themselves. And the Course says that when you say you are going to enter a relationship with somebody, you're saying, I am willing to experience the results of this person's thinking with them. And I went, wow, that's deep. I said it again. When you say you want to be my partner, and you're saying that even it's friendship, I'm not even talking about romantic. In other words, if you're in the car, I gotta use analogies. If you're in the car with the guy that just robbed the bank, when they run y'all down, you got to deal with it as much as if you had robbed the bank. because you were with them. That's what the course is saying. You know, that person's credit score affects you.
Yes.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna go to certain points, and then I'm gonna throw it open for a question or comment. Okay, and I welcome that. I just I want to get through the whole thought. Okay, are you following me?
Yes.
Okay, so that's what the course is saying that we should do. That he says the value of deciding in advance what you want to happen is that you will see the situation as a means to make it happen. Then the course tells you how to make it happen. Are you ready? It says the way to make what you want to happen is you would therefore make every effort to overlook what interferes with the accomplishment of your objective. If my objective is to join with you in a peaceful way, I'm going to try to overlook anything that would make me want to conflict with you and argue with you. I'm going to focus on what will help me accomplish the objective of being your friend. And then it says, and you also concentrate on everything that helps you meet it. So I'm going to make every effort to overlook what would make me feel separate from you, and I'm going to concentrate on everything that can help me join with you. In other words, like for instance, if I want to make friends with a person, I'm looking for what we have in common. You know, so if we both like to fish, that's where I'm gonna start.
Right.
You want to start with what helps you accomplish your goal and overlook the things that make you not accomplish your goal. Did you hear that? It said that's, first you decide on what you want, you see the situation as a way to make what you want to happen, then you make every effort to overlook what interferes with your goal, and then he says you concentrate on everything that helps you meet your goal. He says this is quite noticeable that this approach has brought you closer to the Holy Spirit sorting out of truth and falsity. So now it's going to tell you, that's why I tell people you don't have to figure out the course. Just for a minute to spend just for a moment to spend all your other teachings that you've learned everywhere else. And just go, I don't have to believe this, but I'm just going to hear this and hear what it's saying. But if you try to take your other teachings into this, it ain't going to fit. And you're just going to confuse yourself. And that's what happens. That's the way I used to do it. I would come to a class and I bring everything I've already learned somewhere else, and then I try to fit this into it. More so than go, just for a minute, let me see what this is saying on its own without me bringing my beliefs into it, right? And then it says it right here. The true, it's almost like the Holy Spirit knows what you're going to ask before you ask it. It says, the true becomes what can be used to meet the goal, and the false becomes useless from this point of view. The situation now has meaning, but only because the goal has made it meaningful. What that simply means is, if I want to be your friend, Jason, then I'm going to concentrate on what helps me have peace with you. I'm going to try to overlook anything that makes me feel separate from you. And so what's true in our relationship is what's helping us become peaceful and friends with each other. What's not true in our relationship is whatever makes us feel separate from each other. Mm-hmm. See how simple that is? He says that's how you sort out the true from the false. If I wanted to come to church, then what's true is anything that moves me toward Unity Temple. What's false is anything that moves me toward the mall. Yes. If I want to have peace with you in a relationship, anything that's going to make me project on you, blame you, attack you is false. Anything that's going to make me be open-minded, peaceful, and loving towards you would be true. So from a course perspective, what's true is what helps you meet the goal. What's false is what doesn't help you meet your goal from this perspective. Mm-hmm. But you won't know that if you don't have a goal, because if you don't have a goal, you can't evaluate whether you're moving toward it or not. That's why the most important thing is what? To decide in advance what I want to happen. Okay? Everybody got that? Okay. Mm-hmm.
So I was just thinking, so the parable is like, so we have little Krishna at the Christmas table and he ate watermelon. And then we have the other kid who ate all the sugar, and so he has rotting teeth. So dating somebody with rotting teeth probably isn't the best way to go about dating.
If you want good dental health.
Right.
That's right. What you said.
The
same thing.
parable of
Exactly.
understanding,
Exactly.
you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because an analogy in one picture is worth 1,000 words.
Yeah.
If I want to practice good race relations, then I'm not going to the nearest Ku Klux Klan. Okay, I'm gonna go to the people that go we should have peace and diversity meeting. You follow what I'm going? I'm not gonna go try to change their mind about black people. what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna go in the direction of who already wants to go toward the direction of loving people regardless of the color of their skin. You know, and that's why I love how the Course in Miracles says, I'm not trying to, teaching is a method of conversion in the sense that, you can demonstrate something and people might want to emulate that. But I'm not trying to convert anybody. I never try to, in all the years I've taught, I don't ever try to get a person that's staunchly in some other belief system to believe in this. I believe that, number one, the universe and spirit knows exactly who would benefit from the way that I teach. That's what the Course says. And that those people will be sent to me based on their level of understanding, and the way that it comes through me will be the way that it works for them. That doesn't work for everybody. But I can't tell you how many emails I get from people who say, I was studying the Course in Miracles, I've studied with a lot of different people, but when I came to your thing, it really made total sense to me. And there are people who are doing it just the opposite. They're hearing my stuff and it doesn't make any sense to them at all, and there's somebody that it does. So that's the way it is with relationships and dating. It's the exact same thing. The universe will send to you, it says there are very specific contacts planned for each one of us, and they will be sent to us when we're ready to learn how to have healed relationships. So all you have to basically say to have a relationship sent to you is, I'm ready to learn. But that also means I've got to also be ready to not be right all the time. It means I got to be ready to take a new level of responsibility. So it says in the next, I want to try to get through this section because it's so powerful, so people can come back and listen to the whole thing on setting the goal. So then it goes, the goal of truth has further practical advantages. So what is it saying? Okay, but I'm in a relationship, I've got the goal of truth. That's what I want in my relationships. He says, if the situation is used for truth, I love it. If the situation is used for truth and sanity, its outcome must be peace. So how do you know if you're using your relationship for truth and sanity? Peace. If you're not having peace, what does that mean? In that instance, what are you doing? Not using your relationship for truth and sanity. Then it goes on, and this is quite apart from what the outcome is. If peace is the condition of truth and sanity, he says the same thing. How can you tell when you're being sane? How can you tell when you're practicing the truth? He says you have peace. So when I don't have peace, I tell myself I'm wrong. As soon as I'm out of peace, I go, Earl, there's something you're not seeing correctly. That's where I go. I don't go, what did that other person do that I need to get straight? I don't do that at all. I said, Earl, you are not feeling peace. There's something you aren't seeing correctly. Because he's already told me that when I'm using truth and sanity, the outcome is going to be peace. And he says that peace is the condition of truth and sanity, and peace can't be without truth and sanity. Where peace is, that's what truth and sanity is. So how do I know when me and my partner are back where we should be? We should be back to peace with each other. If we're not back to peace, one or both of us is not using truth and not using sanity. So rather than being right, I go, I hope I'm wrong. I don't like the way I feel, so I hope I'm wrong. I don't like the way I feel. I don't want to be right. See, I don't want to be right about feeling you're no good.
That's right.
I don't want to be right about believing you're trying to hurt me. I don't want to be right about that. So the Course is saying truth comes of itself. If you experience peace, it's because what? The truth has come to you. So the truth will always give you some form of peace. Yes. So if we're in a situation or circumstance that we're trying to get something cleared up, we can tell when we're moving in the right direction because of what? We should start to experience what? Peace. Some form of peace. It's a lesson in the Course in Miracles that says God's answer is some form of peace. So that's what I'm looking for between you and me. Some form of peace. And two adults can have it. Two beings who want to be conscious can solve it. Two immature children who blame and don't want to take responsibility and want people to act out their script and believe that people will put on earth just to serve them, they won't be able to work things out.
That's right.
Yes.
A selfish person is not going to be able to work things out with their partner. But that doesn't mean that you sacrifice your needs for the other person. It means you're looking for what I call a 200% solution, and a 200% solution is a solution where both people win. If it's three of us, we're looking for a 300% solution. It has nothing to do with people giving up what they really want for somebody else. You loving me is not you giving up all of your desires and all your needs and all your friends and all your likes and all your habits stuff because I want you home with me every night. That is a person who doesn't love you. That's a person who just wants you to serve them. But since I feel the same way, then we're attracted to each other and we argue all the time. Because both of us exactly the same way. We just got a script, and I want you to act my script out. Because, you know, my sense of validation comes from how you make me feel. So I need your unending idolatry. That's why we get, see, if I don't love myself, I can't spend a lot of time by myself because I give myself words from everybody else making me feel important. So I can only spend so much time alone, and then I get what I call lonely, which is another way of saying I don't feel centered in myself and love myself enough to be by myself and be okay with that. So now I need somebody to make me happy. See, so really, I didn't go, now I need somebody for me to make happy. I very seldom hear people say that. I want to get in a relationship because I really want to bring joy to somebody. That's not what that ain't what you hear a whole lot. Be honest. It's not.
Yeah.
It's most people tell you they want a relationship and they'll tell you all the things they think the relationship should do for them.
Yeah.
It's almost like the other person doesn't exist other than a fantasy. It's almost like I don't even want you to come in a relationship because if you tell me what you think, you might interfere with my fantasy. So just shut up.
But bring your cute body.
Yeah, just bring your body.
Body.
Right, just bring your body. I got some fantasies for that. So bring your body, leave your mind at home. I just want your body. I just want your body. That's why, because your body's changing, I don't want you anymore. Because it never was about you. It was about your body. That you can play that, you know, in the first 40 or 50 years in your life, or maybe 60 if you're lucky. But at some point, you're going to go, I better get off that, they got to want me for my body thing. That's where I'm at. I'm now into my 70s. The biggest physical changes to the body happen in the 70s. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, that's when the body makes the biggest shift to what you would call elderly looking or whatever. Now, because of my consciousness and my attitude, it's a possibility that I could slow that process down. It looks like it, right?
Already.
Yeah. You know,
Thank you.
20-year-old wanted to go out with me just the other day. And so,
You're
I
right.
said she had great grandfather
Yeah.
issues. So, I promise you I'll be a big disappointment. I promise you. But what that is my attitude. That's people responding to my energy,
Yeah.
my consciousness, and my
Yes.
attitude.
Yeah.
That and then because when you love somebody, a person that you love always looks beautiful to you. I'll say this again. A person that you
Yes.
love
Yes.
always looks beautiful to you.
Yes.
No matter what their physical body looks like, and no matter how their physical body changes. You see it every day, what you would think of as elderly couples walking down the street still holding hands with each other. And you can just feel their level of safety and connection that they have and love that they still have for each other. So it's okay to want to like pretty bodies, like the courts would call it, you know, pretty forms. But what you want to know is what do you want to come of it? What do you want it for? So I'm not putting down, don't get me wrong, I'm not putting down the body at all. It's great to enjoy the body. The body is a means of joining and a means of communication. You better enjoy it. It's like ice cream. It's melting. There's a lot of symbolism in the Wizard of Oz. It's melting. You know what I'm saying? Lick it while you can. Now, I'm sure there are some people that are offended because I dare say, lick it while you can. You know what I'm saying? But the point is, what did I want to come out of? What did I say that for? Right? I said that to encourage people to focus on content more than form. So that was the meaning of what I said. And then anybody else's reaction is coming from what? Their interpretation of what it means.
Right.
And if they have a lot of sexual guilt, people with a lot of sexual guilt get really offended about any references to anything that's sexual or sexuality. People who feel innocent about it are never offended. But if I got a lot of guilt and a lot of issues around that, then as soon as you mention it, I'm going, but that's for me to get in touch with what it is I need to take a look at around my sexuality. Why do I have fear around that? Okay? Yes.
So I like to see it as whether you're mother fixated or father fixated. So that's kind of where your mind goes if it gets caught in these different bubbles.
Right. And it's important to, and that's what everybody's doing. It's like everybody's doing exactly what you're doing. They're taking what I'm saying and they're trying to make it relevant to their own situation. So I want you to, however that breaks down for you, is no wrong way to break that down. So I'm down to the last 2 paragraphs. You got 10 minutes, I think I can do it.
You can do it.
What is his goal?
This is now don't forget this is this tough Course in Miracles that is so hard for everybody to understand and read. Okay, do you know that that's why I always work out of the book? You think after 30, 40 years I really have to have the book in front of me? It's because when you read the Course in Miracles and you shut the book, you will forget 90% of what you just read when you had the book. I could do that to each and every one of you right now.
Yeah.
I could say, I'm gonna give everybody in this room a book, and I want you to read 2 paragraphs, and then close the book and tell me what you read. Specifically what you read. You'll be shocked at how difficult it'll be. There's something within us that has such resistance to what the Course in Miracles teaches that was what attracted me to it. See, it attracted me that I had a black belt in metaphysical books. Because I read a million. Then I got to this book and I read it and go, what the hell did I just read? It looked like English and I just got to read this paragraph and I don't know what the hell I just read. Or I could be like wide awake. Just got through, dancing, pump, everything. Then I go, this goal is... Anybody that's trying to study it knows exactly what I'm talking about. It is something weird about this book and how you will go unconscious on it. And that's what attracted me. I go, what is it? What part of me doesn't want me to hear this to the point they would literally take me out? But you heard the very simple concepts that it said today. It said, if you experience peace, it's because truth has come to you. And if truth has come to you, it says you will see the outcome truly. For deception cannot prevail against you when you're at peace. So it's harder to fool a peaceful person than it is a person that's upset. The more peaceful you are, the more you can see through BS. Because you are not going to give your peace up. So you can see what's being said and done. It says you will recognize the outcome. Why? It said because you're at peace. Right? It says here again, then it goes like the Course does. Now here again you see the opposite of the ego's way, the wrong-minded way of looking. For the ego, the wrong part of the mind, believes that the situation brings the experience. I'm in this situation with you all right now, and it's bringing me some kind of experience with y'all. And he said, that's not true. I'm seeing this experience right now the way I've decided to see this experience based on what my goal is. And if my goal is to give myself a hard time, I'm going to see you in a way that's going to make me feel bad. If my goal is to see myself in a peaceful, loving way, and to see you in a peaceful, loving way, then I'm going to focus on everything that makes me think you like me. And I'm going to focus on everything that's going to make me think I like you. See, some people walk in the door and they decide whether they like me or not as soon as they walk in, right? And then they use the rest of the hour justifying what they felt. That's the way it always works. First you decide whether you don't like a person or not, and then you build your case. And that's why sometimes when you have a good impression of somebody, and that was your first impression, if you think about it, almost no matter what they do, you'll still want to hang on to that good impression of them. And then it can be the other way. You don't like a person as soon as you meet them, and then it's hard for you to see them any other way. Or you'll think you're tricking yourself, or you're being tricked. So the truth is, I decided whether or not I was going to have a good time today when I woke up. And I'm going to use the rest of the day to validate how I decided I should feel. Right? So it says the goal of truth, he says, the Holy Spirit knows the situation is as the goal determines it. So love, which is another word for Holy Spirit, knows that the situation is as the goal determines it, and the situation is experienced according to the goal. The goal of truth, now check this out, it says requires what? Faith.
Yes.
Faith is implicit in the acceptance of the goal of truth, which is the Holy Spirit's purpose, but this faith is all inclusive. What does that mean? It says, and you can always do that with the Course. You go, what the heck does that mean? Keep reading. What does it mean? What it means, where the goal of truth is set, that's where the faith must be. The Holy Spirit, which is love, truth sees the situation as a whole. The goal establishes the fact that everyone involved in it will play his part in its accomplishment.
Wow.
What a sentence. I'll say that again.
Wow.
If you set the goal, the course says it establishes the fact that everybody involved in the goal will play their part in its accomplishment.
Oh my God.
That if I set the goal, everybody is going to play their part in the accomplishment of the goal. And then it says it right here. It says this is inevitable. No one will fail in anything. This is the sentence I know you can relate to. It says this seems to ask for faith beyond you and beyond what you can give. Like, you mean I'm supposed to believe that everybody's going to play their part in acting out my goal?
Yes.
Then that looks like that's calling for more faith than I have. It's hard for me to believe I'm going to act out my part, let alone believing every one of you are going to act out your part. And he says, this is so only from the viewpoint of the ego, the part of us that's afraid, the part of us that doesn't have faith, the part of us that doesn't know the truth. He says, for the ego believes in solving conflict through fragmentation. What does that mean? The ego doesn't see the situation in the whole, as a whole. Therefore, the ego, the wrong mind, tries to split off segments of the situation. The ego tries to deal with situations, he says, separately, because the ego is a part of the mind that has more faith in separation than joining. So rather than coming together and solving things from the perspective of oneness, the ego always tries to fragment, separate, and break things down and deal with it separately. So he says, because the ego is a part of you that has faith in separation, that we're different, more than I have faith in that we're the same. See, if we all knew we were the same, we wouldn't have the problems that we have in our country or our world right now. Everybody needs to eat. Everybody needs clothing. Everybody needs food, clothing, and shelter. Everybody. But if I look at it like it's one race versus another race, one group of people versus another group, you see, the separation keeps it unsolved. Seeing us as one would solve it instantly.
Yeah.
So that's what the Course is saying. So here's the last paragraph. It says, confronted with any aspect of the situation that seems to be difficult, what does the ego do? The mind that doesn't know the truth, it will attempt to take this aspect elsewhere and resolve it there. It said, and it'll look like it's been successful, except that this attempt conflicts with unity. So when you try to deal with everything from the perspective that we're separate, it obscures the goal of truth. And he says, and peace will not be experienced except in fantasy. So if I'm really not solving the problem based on unity and truth, we'll have fantasized peace. And what is fantasized peace? A peace that doesn't last. It's just a piece you have temporarily where it looks like, this is like your script was made a little while. So the Course in Miracles says, truth has not come because your faith has been denied, being withheld where it rightfully belongs. Where does faith rightfully belong? It belongs in the truth. It belongs in God. I don't have any faith in y'all's egos. I don't know how to break it to you. And you shouldn't have any faith in mine. I don't have any faith in the part of you that thinks you're separate from me. I don't have any faith in the part of you that doesn't truly know what the truth is, and you shouldn't in me. You see what I mean? Yeah. It's not that I'm cruel or you're cruel, but if you don't know the truth, then you're just going to make a bunch of errors, and I am too, in our way of relating. So the Course is saying, it says, truth has not come because faith has been denied, being withheld from where faith rightly belongs. Thus, do you lose the understanding of the situation the goal of truth would bring. I have lost my understanding if I want anything out of our connection other than the truth and love and oneness and joining and waking up. That's why you're in my life, for us to use each other for waking up to who we really are as love and as spiritual beings. I'm not in your life to make sure you're not alone in your old age. I'm not in your life to make sure that you feel that you're this great lover. I'm not in your life so that I can take care of you materially. I'm not in your life for any other reason other than for us to come to the realization of who we truly are as spiritual beings and as love. Right. Because once we tune into that part of us that created us, the promise is you'll be taken care of anyway. I don't see, I don't see birds going to workshops to come up with how they're going to be taken care of. I don't see cats going to workshops to deal with mom and daddy issues. I don't see them worrying about the economy. You know what I'm saying? Whatever created them also created what takes care of them. What created us also created at the same time how we would be sustained.
That's right.
That is, let me finish up. I'm glad to see your enthusiasm. I just want to make sure I get done with the paragraph. You see what I'm saying? It's like we forget, the Course says the biggest error that we make is we forget we did not create ourselves. He says we act like we created ourselves. He says we didn't create ourselves, but we are making our perceptions and our experience. So yeah, it's okay to judge the experience you've made, but you can't judge yourself because you didn't create yourself.
Yeah.
And so that which created you only loves you and only sees your perfection. What you see is not your perfection, it's just an image of yourself that you made up in your mind since you've been born. You see the difference? There's Earl, and then there's Earl's image of himself. Earl's image of himself is his ego. Your ego is nothing but the voice inside your head that you made that's describing your experience to you all day. And then you are reacting to that description you are giving yourself. And then he says you're dealing with other people based on your past experiences. And you're judging what's going to happen in the future based on what you gave yourself in the past that was based on wrong information, which is that you're separate and you're guilty and you're sinful and you're a body. But there's another world that you will experience on the perception that you're doing and that you're innocent and that you're a spiritual being that will produce an entirely different reality. But your perception will always witness to your beliefs. And that's why you can't use your perceptions to prove whether what I'm saying is true or not, because you're seeing the way you learn to see. Does that make sense to everybody? So you're seeing your beliefs. You're not seeing necessarily what's true. You're seeing your beliefs. And so it's your beliefs that are determining how you're reacting. It's your beliefs that are determining how you feel, not what you have, not what you own, or not how you look. It's what you're telling yourself and have been telling yourself that's determining your joy or not. And what the Course is saying is you are beyond your perception of yourself. There's something that loves you and sees your perfection beyond the image you have of yourself. And it's teaching you how to let that part of you take over in your life. And that's what it's saying. Fantasy solutions bring about the illusion of experience, and the illusion of peace is not the condition in which truth can enter. The illusion of love is not where real love can enter. And that's how you do it. So that section was called setting the goal. And you can apply it to anything, even though this is talking about the goal of sanity. Okay? It's the goal of you want to have some sense. This is what you do. Yes.
Yes.
So it seems like we still in the room, we have the donkey, we have the white elephant, and we have the ox in the cart. So obviously we all still go to the grocery store. Right, we're all buying our food from the same source.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's the main thing to realize. The Course says all the time is just to tell yourself all things I have come only from God, or you can use all things I have come only from love. All things I have come only from my Creator. That is the way that you allow that energy to act itself out in your life more. See, if our goal is to reconnect with our source, why should our source help us achieve things that we're not going to give any credit to our source for, or even use to remember our source and just tell ourselves even more, I was the one that did this on my own. And if you say you want to do something on your own, you're telling the universe, don't support me. Do you know that? Every time you go, I'm a self-made man or woman, I'm going to do this all by myself, I'm going to do it on my own, the universe says yes. And go for it. And the next thing you know, you're struggling hard, you're working hard, you wonder why nothing's not working for you. It's because you are doing it from the perspective that it's you alone, on your own, sufficient to yourself, having to do everything by yourself, which is what we're taught. That's the definition of an adult, is that you do everything on your own. Then we feel shocked when we end up what? Doing everything on our, look like, I put it that way, look like we're doing things on our own, because the truth is we never do anything on our own, actually. So acknowledge yourself for hearing this message today. Wow. That was so helpful. That was so helpful. So I'm going to do one little thing at the end, and let's do the financial expression of appreciation. Thank you so much for sharing with me and with Unity Temple. You all are awesome. Here you go. If you're online and you'd like to make a financial expression of appreciation, as I am a full-time teacher, I appreciate that so much. And you just go to Earl Purdy, PURDY.com, and you can do it there. And if you want to use Venmo, and some people that told me they do, just my email address is my name, Earl Purdy at earlpurdy.com. And I'm available for one-on-one personal sessions called clarity sessions, when I show you how to apply this even more accurately to your personal life. And also I've been a sole purpose astrologer and numerologist for 4 decades. And I bring that into the sessions for those who are open-minded to hearing another way of getting information. Been getting a lot of wonderful, thank you for all those birthday greetings I got. Thank you last week for everybody that came. We had a big party here. And it was great energy, and I feel so grateful for that. I feel so blessed. Do you know you're not blessed any more than anybody else?
No.
I'm not breaking it to you.
Not true.
But, you know, it's like all of us are blessed. We all just have different degrees of allowing ourselves to know it. I'll say that again. God doesn't love one person more than another person. Love doesn't love one person more than another person. We just depend on our own psychological, emotional structures determines how much we let that blessing and love in. So the spiritual work, your personal growth work, is learning how to let go of the blocks to the awareness of the presence of love. We all have it. We all are equally blessed. And then people say, well, what about them name all these different people that are going through hell? That doesn't mean that they still don't have access to spirit, that they don't have access to the higher power. We are not that special. Do you think the Creator would want you to have more than anybody else, or you to be more blessed than anybody else? That's the way we do it, right? We pick out people, and we give those people more attention than we give other people, based on how they act, usually. So what we do is we turn around and project that quality onto our Creator, and then we say our Creator operates the way we do. So it's not that so much that man was made in the image of God, as man makes God in his image.
Yeah.
That's what's really happening, is we just made God this great big human being in the sky with the same dysfunctions we have. And that's really what's happened. And then a part of us, those old souls, those old moldy souls like y'all, because you got to be an old moldy soul to hang in the Course in Miracles. I wouldn't even begin to try to teach the Course in Miracles to the general public. It would be crazy, you know. These are souls who are finally getting to the point that they're willing to see that they are not victims and they create their experience. And that my peace is coming from within me and not outside of me.
That's right.
You know. So I'm going to finish with one thing, and then we're going to make an announcement right at the end. What was one thing anybody heard today that they really want to remember out of this class today?
The thing that really caught me, I love that A Course in Miracles gives us tools. And this said, basically what this said to me is when I'm operating in truth, I will always enter a situation first with a goal. When I'm operating in ego, I will let it navigate without a goal.
That's right. I would be one of those people that it just looked like things just happened to me. You know, those people that look like they're the nicest people in the world, but it's because they don't have a goal. And a person who is afraid of attack all the time is just as much, from a Course perspective, focused on attack as a person that attacks.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why people who see themselves as victims sometimes seem like they become victims, because they're still focusing on attack. But in this case, it's on being attacked. But it's still, the Course says, an attack thought. Anybody else?
Yeah.
I've obviously been living for my ego for a while and learned that instead of asking for support and going and allowing support, I'm going, oh, I have to do it all on my own, and the universe is going, okay.
That's right.
Do it on your own then.
Yeah. And then everybody gets upset and feel like, nobody's supporting them. But they isolated, they don't communicate, they stay away from everybody else, and then wonder why they don't have an active social life. what they supposed to do? Come to your house and drag you out of the?
Oh,
I'm gonna work my way around. There you go.
No goal in the first place, then no wonder you don't have a direction. No wonder you end up in the wrong place.
Thank you. Thank you.
And that's kind of my thing too, is that I've been functioning in that ego thing too. It's just, well, if you want it done right, you have to do it yourself. And then why am I just not doing it by myself? Like, how am I surprised that I'm doing it by myself?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like, wow.
If we could get the one basic thought of new thought is
Master.
thought is created, and that what we are experiencing is a result of thinking. That's the only thing that makes so-called new age, new thought different from anything else. One is saying I'm responsible, I'm a creator, and the other one is saying I'm a victim and everything happens to me as a victim. Those are the two thought systems.
Also, like, well, just
Go ahead.
my purpose. Sorry, I was trying to get it to it.
Oh, yeah.
Not as it just set a goal.
Yes,
Like, you don't have to have a plan or a path.
yes,
Just set an intention
That's
or
right.
a goal for
That's
the day.
That's
or
right.
just set one. And then just kind of trust that it'll play out.
Well, he's saying that the once you set the goal, then the goal establishes the fact that everybody involved in it will play their part.
Yes.
No one will fail in anything. So don't judge these principles before you even tried them. Please don't judge what you're hearing before you've ever even tried it with any consistency. Yes, but 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 yes, but
nice, yes, but.
yes, but yes, but.
I'll know whether or not I'm like establishing my goals even with the ego or with God or love based on if I am or am not experiencing peace.
That's right.
So it's like to gauge where my goal, where my intentions are coming from by how I'm feeling.
That's right.
Like
That's
you
right.
can like
That's right.
set-
Patrick?
You know, it's interesting for me, at that moment where you're talking about, you know, this guy, whoever getting in the car, he just robbed a bank or something, you know, however that works, you know, what are you doing, this guy robbed a bank? And I'm thinking, going to the mall. Somebody's riding a bike. And it dawned on me, that's kind of the way my life works, you know? I like those women that rob banks, so we go to the mall, or the excitement, the addiction to chaos.
Well,
you
the
know?
point is,
Because
whatever you
peace, to
what?
me,
Uh-huh.
peace to me was boring.
Right.
Because
Right.
it was that, what did you call it?
Right.
That
And
mythological,
that's how you. But
that
see, this is the cool
manufactured
part, Patrick. You'll get to the point on this path. Is that's how you know you're not telling yourself the truth. See, the minute I would have, see now I'm in a place where the minute I go peace is boring, which means that's not something that inspires me, then I know I have a misperception of what peace is. And that's how you know. You know, if it doesn't take me to a place of joy and peace, then there's something in my perception is not correct about it, right?
And I think for myself, you didn't know that.
Yes.
You didn't know it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Didn't know it. Yeah,
You know.
yeah. I'm working up. I'm gonna get to everybody. Darlene.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
When I choose to be loved and believe love, then I see that all around.
That's right.
Love all around.
That's right. I'm seeing what I choose to see. I'm getting out of every situation. What my goal is. You can work backwards too, and go. I know what my goal was. I'm not feeling peace and I'm not feeling happy right now. Then there must be some part of me that didn't have their goal that wanted me to. Because you can work back from the result to the cause, too. Anybody else
Yeah.
on the way up? Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So the goal determines the outcome.
that's right.
It's just okay. And not only that, but everyone involved will play his or her part in its accomplishment.
That's right.
So this is a huge thing. So if in my relationship, if my goal is that my partner turns into an angel of God, because, I mean that's my goal.
Yeah.
It will, you know,
Yeah.
God willing, you know.
And the thing about it is, when you first get there, it's only talking about perception. All things become possible. Like for instance, if I go, you're going to play your part. Well, then that can just be me seeing you as playing your role in helping me achieve whatever it is that I want to achieve. So if I go, I'm experiencing peace with you, then I can say, well, all of you played your part. Because I chose to see you that way. You did play your part. Because whatever part you played, I attributed it to my peace. You follow what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Everybody's going to play their part based on what your goal is. So if your goal is to be alone, and if your goal is not to be, let's say you're not going to trust men. But then every good man, you would never see them.
That's right.
They could be standing right in front of your face. You only see red, and the people you're looking for are blue. You see, but the blue people are there, but you don't see them. Why? Because that's not what you're focused on. And that's what this is trying to tell us. That perception picks out and selects. And it overlooks anything that's the opposite to what it believes. If you try to give somebody more love than they believe they deserve, or that they believe is possible, they're going to be suspicious of you. And they're going to think you may be a con man. Because they can't imagine someone being that loving and that real, because they can't. You follow what I'm saying? That's why it's best to, as much as possible, to form relationships with people who are similar or equal. That's much easier relationship. It's almost like two jealous people could get along in a way better than one who was and one who wasn't, in the sense that they can relate to each other. Follow what I'm saying? Both of us got the same issue. It's easier for us to work together because we see each other as the same, and so we can do that together.
I don't know. I mean, if two people have rotten teeth, they may not be able to get each other to the dentist.
No, they
So
may not be able
diversity
to.
might be important with education.
No, I'm talking in terms of two people being in an intimate relationship. The more that they can focus on their sameness, the more peace they're going to have with each other. If both of us got rotten teeth, then we can both understand what a toothache is like. You still got a way to relate to each other. And it is also good to have those people who are where you're trying to go that you can also tune into too. That's right.
And maybe we've grown so far into the mental, spiritual self that those rotten teeth are no longer what's present the first thing they see because they've grown beyond it.
Right. I love you beyond your rotten teeth. That'll be my Valentine's Day card. I love y'all. Thanks for coming, Holy Spirit. Y'all awesome. Thanks for coming. Thank you. All right. You got an announcement you want to make, Sheila?
Is this a good time?
Yes.
All right, first of all, I'm running parallel to whatever Helen B.S. you created. It's a wonderful life.
Yeah.
You'll see that I've